Hello viewers, my name is Isaac Okwein and I'm from OrganiSol, and today I want us to look at soil sampling as a component of soil analysis. So in soil analysis there are usually three stages, and the first part of it is soil sampling, and after sampling your soil you use chemical to analyze the samples that you have collected, and the last step is usually followed by interpretation of the samples, and then making a recommendation on what nutrient or what fertilizer to apply on your soil, depending on the analysis that you have found uh, from the samples that you have collected. So I'm going to take you through the process of soil sampling from the beginning to the last part, that a farmer will be able to collect these samples and take it straight to the laboratory for analysis. Soil is very heterogeneous in nature, and usually in sampling we want to come up with a sample that is going to represent the entire field. For example, on our field here we have about 5 hectares that we have to sample, but on the 5 hectares what is going to be used in the lab could just be a spoonful. So in collecting your samples you want to ensure that you are as accurate as possible, and you want to at the same time try to minimize as bias as much as possible, so that that little soil sample that you are going to have at the end is going to be a representation of the final nutrients that is lacking in the field. So there are so many methods of sampling depending on the on what the farmer needs, or depending on the need for doing the soil analysis. But today I want us to look at what they call the zigzag method of sampling, and that suits mostly small scale farmers, though it can also be used on a large field. But it is easier to use compared to other methods that require a lot of techniques to conduct. So we are going to look at zigzag sampling, and I'm going to demonstrate how zigzag sampling is done. So before you pick your samples, you have to first make sure that you have divided your land into parts that are uniform as much as possible. And the uniformity I mean is that where your land is slopy, you are going to collect samples from the up slopes differently from the samples in the down slopes. Or you are going to divide your area basing on the type of soils. If this place assuming has a lot of clay, but the other place has a lot of sand, you are going to collect the samples separately, such that you at the end of the day your composite sample or the general sample is going to have a good representation of your field. So in collecting our samples, as I said that I'm going to use a zigzag method. Zigzag is just about imagine drawing a Z shape continuously over your field. But as you also collect the samples, you want to make sure that you avoid certain areas that will not give you a representation of the nutrient status of your field. For example, areas close to a tree like this usually has a lot of grass covers of vegetation under from the leaves that had fallen before. So there is a lot of organic matter that could bias your results. You also want to try as much as possible to avoid areas that are next to ant hills, simply because those termites usually ferry a lot of organic matter. So the areas around ant hills are usually very fertile. You also want to avoid areas that are too close to the road, or areas that are at the boundary of your field, areas that are so close to your home, because usually around your home you deposit a lot of waste, and the soil status around your home is usually very fertile, and this could bias the final results in your field. So you want to, like I said before, want to make sure that you are unbiased as much as possible, because at the end of the day, we want only something like a spoonful in the lab from what we are going to collect. So this is one of the points where we are going to pick a subsample from the many points within this 5-hectare land. And what we are doing is, first of all, you have to remove the vegetation that is on this top part of the soil, because a lot of nutrients have accumulated on this top part, and we don't want the roots of the grasses that have accumulated on top of the soil here. So you just do a slight clearing of the vegetation that is on the soil to make it neat as possible. People usually use a soil probe, but for the demonstration of for my farmers, you can simply use whatever you have, a hoe, a panga, whatever you can provide for this case of sampling. So after clearing, as you can see, we are going to dig deep into the soil. We try to make a V-cut into the soil. Yes, so as you can see, we have made a V-cut onto our soil, and the depth of the cut that you are going to make for your sampling to collect your samples will depend on the type of the analysis, the purpose of the analysis that you are conducting. If you are collecting your samples on a land that is going to be used to plant annual crops or usually shallow-rooted crops, you can collect your samples from a depth of around 0 to 15 centimeters. But if you are planting usually perennial or slightly deep-rooted crops, it can be from a range of 0 to about 30 centimeters or even deeper. As I said, it depends on the type of the test that you want, on what you want to use your land for. If you are doing, let's say, a precise nitrate test, or what they usually call PSNT, you are going to collect your samples from around 30 centimeters, 0 to 30 centimeters. But if you are doing only a residual nitrate test, you can even go to as deep as 0 to 60 centimeters deep. So it depends on the purpose of your soil analysis. So what we have done here is simply make the V-cut, and you bring your spade like this, try to press it down there, and what we are going to do is just slice from the top to the bottom of around 15 centimeters or 15 to 20, which is usually an optimal range. Yes, so you want to slice it right from the top, because concentration of nutrients also vary from the top to the bottom. Usually phosphorus accumulates around the top part, but nitrogen extends deeper in the soil because it leaches off very fast with water. And you just gently remove your soil